Okay na. Okay, then this is our interview for PERSEF3. So, sir, first of all, could you tell us something about yourself, muna?
Okay, I am Louis Francis G. Uy. I am also a product of De La Salle University, Manila, ID 102. I took a Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in Religious Education, and Bachelor of Arts, major in Psychology. I think we're one of the last batches who had that course because now De La Salle is not offering that course anymore. So I'm under the College of Education then. I graduated 2006. Then, since then, our school directors of this school, because I was a product of this school, St. Peter the Apostle School, asked me to apply here. So I underwent the usual process of applying, as even though I am an alumnus, I underwent teaching demo, exams, interviews, and after weeks of waiting, I passed. I was accepted in this school. So from year 2000 to 2010, right after my graduation from La Salle, I am a CLED teacher here, Christian Living teacher, for 4 years. Then after 4 years, I was given a new responsibility, and that is now the Student Activities Coordinator. This is already my 4th year in this responsibility. What do I usually work? What do I usually do? Student Activities Coordinator, we plan, implement, evaluate the co-curricular and extracurricular activities of the students from clubs, organizations, varsities. Since we do not have sports coordinator here, it's also under my responsibility. So all the extracurricular activities, all the different clubs, the varsities, I supervise all of them. But of course, we have coaches, we have moderators directly supervising the students.
So now that we know a little more about you, sir, can you define what leadership is for you, sir? Yeah.
For me, leadership is the ability to influence, to inspire others to achieve your common goal. And that goal, ideally and realistically, should be good or for the betterment. It's not the other way around. So it's inspiring, influencing your friends, your teammates, the people working with you to achieve that goal. And in the process of achieving that goal, you unleash in them their different skills and potentials. And in doing so, they will also become leaders. Hindi mo pinagkakait yung pagiging leader sa kanila. You also dream that they too will become leaders like you.
Sir, while we're still on the topic of leadership, is there a certain example that you can share with us, either in your college days or here in St. Peter? Is there an example you can share with us that what leadership is about?
I primarily believe in leadership by example or leadership by doing. You do what you tell your subordinates to do. If you tell them to come on time, if you tell them do not cheat, be honest, you should be the first one to practice it. So I really value that leadership with integrity, leadership by example.
Okay. So moving on to, say, principles of leadership, are there certain principles that you can share with us?
Basically, that's it. Leadership by example, leadership by preaching, leadership by integrity,
okay.
Servant leadership. You're honest, because that's the most important thing. Even though you're a good leader, but your teammates do not trust you anymore. You're not honest, you don't have integrity. How can you influence them to achieve that goal? How can they respect you? How can they trust you?
Okay. So you've mentioned about the servant leadership. How about an ethical leadership, and how does that fit into your field of work?
For ethical leadership, basically the root word there is ethics. In my work, for example, we have many concerns. For example, on the moderators, on the coaches, on the teams, on the club members, you do not uh, you do not say to others their problems, their concerns. Hindi mo pinagchichismisan sa iba. Kumbaga, we need to have the privacy, the confidentiality of different clubs' concerns. The concern of this team is different from this team. The concern of this coach is different from this coach. We have our own privacy, confidentiality. That's ethical for me. Especially for my work, I supervise many coaches, many club moderators, many club members and teams. I make sure that when they raise concerns, when they have problems, it is kept confidential and private. Then about servant leadership, we have so many school activities wherein we cannot always ask our maintenance to clean this, kindly bring this up to the gymnasium. So sometimes it's me who clean the floor, who bring up the things, who I sit down on the floor, cut, decorate, and the students, they see me and they're also influenced with my action. It's not, they always ask the maintenance, ate kuya pakipulot to, ate kuya pakikuha naman to silya. So when they see me pulling this chair, arranging the chairs, picking up litters, they too, si Sir Louis, nagpupulot, nag-aayos ng silya, tulungan natin. So, that's influencing them. Diba? Hindi lahat iaasa mo sa janitors, sa maintenance, that's servant leadership na our common perception is when you say servant leadership is you're a mini boss, you're a boss. If you're a coordinator, you're a mini boss. But in a school setting, it's different. Being a coordinator is, you are called to become a servant leader. You teach through your actions, you influence, you teach your students on how to become humble. Na you don't always rely on the maintenance, on the ate and kuya.
Okay, very nice, sir. How about, because we have a saying in DLSU about for being a leader for God and country, how can you apply that here? Or with yourself instead?
Every time we have meetings with the student council and they have projects, I always challenge them that the project should not only be limited in the school setting. What is the long-term effect of that project? For example, they have one specific project that we have long-term effect. Going back, I always challenge the student council, the student leaders, that their project should have long-term effect. It should have societal effect, hindi lang yung sa school community. Then for myself, how did I become a leader for God and country, a Sallian leader for God and country? Basically, I live up to the Sallian principles of integrity.
How did DLSU mold you as a leader for God and country?
When I was in DLSU, I was very active in the student council, in our professional organization, EDGE. I don't know if it's still EDGE now, if there's still that org. And of course, Alyansang Tapat sa Lasalista. Those different organizations molded me. How? Through the different activities, through the different day-to-day experiences, through the different programs. That now, I am in the student activities office. I apply majority of those things. For example, in the LSU, we have the activity band week. Here, I also apply that. Every time we have the periodical exam, 1 week before that, no more activities. No more trainings for the varsities. Then, how the LSU trained me on how to become a good student leader, I'm also applying here now as a student council moderator on how I train the students to become on how to become student leaders. The creativity that the LSU taught me, it definitely helped me to create more activities and projects for the students, to be more lively.
Okay. So we're at the end of our interview now, and so the last thing would be, what kind of advice could you give the youth of today who are aspiring leaders?
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Take the risk, but take it with calculation. Take the calculated risk. You don't step on the water using your 2 feet. Use 1 foot first. Test the water. Calculated risk. Huwag sugod ng sugod. Take the risk, pero calculated risk. Hindi yung bahala na. Okay? Merong tinatansya mo, meron ka ng foresight, meron ka ng backup, kung sakaling hindi naging effective yung plans mo, yung mga activities mo.
Okay, so that ends our interview. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the interview.